Hello. Hi. Can everybody hear me okay? Everything should be fine. Everything should be set up alright. Hello, hello. Provided everything is actually working as intended. As we can see, we have chat on this side. Puck is not currently in the room right now, but I'm sure he'll make an appearance at some point, with any luck. Knowing him. Hello everybody, it's good to see you. Hi, I have made it back, safe and sound, allegedly, or at least so it seems. I have managed to survive. Yippee for me. Hi, I see Alicia, I see Hope, good to see you. Feline, good to see you. Cam is not fine, what's wrong with the camera? You can hear me? That's good. I see Kathy, good to see you. Jax. Hi, hello, Autumn, good to see you, thanks for coming. I see Darby, I see Feisty. Honest Red. Athens. Alice, hello. What's wrong with the visual? Anything wrong? Everything okay? Oh, thank you. It's gotten so long. Deciding on whether or not I need to chop it all off again, but I don't know. I kind of like, I want to see where it goes. I have something I wanted to show you guys that Honest Red had sent to me from my wish list. I didn't get to show you guys before I left. And it is a tea box. Isn't this thing cool? And when you open it, the top comes off, and there's a little card about brewing times for tea, and like how long they take and at what temperature. And it's got 4 little tea types in it. And then you can swing the bottom open, and the side swings over, and it's got 4 more little teas. Look at that! Isn't that super cool? I absolutely love it. I've tried all of the teas in here. They're all actually very good, and I think this one is the surprise one that was like, this one's really, really good. It's a honey bush mandarin and orange, and I absolutely love it. So when this is gone, I'm definitely gonna put another one on the wish list. And then I'm gonna keep the box, because why wouldn't I keep the box? It's a very cool box. Right? Isn't that thing super cool? I absolutely love it. And then it's got like the ingredients of the teas that are inside of it on the back. Isn't that cool? I also wanted to show you, I got a shirt. I got a Kansas shirt. It's super cute. I really like it. Charlotte gave me like a little care package. She gave me a shot glass, a little Kansas shot glass, which is really funny because I actually don't have any shot glasses, not proper shot glasses, so my first proper shot glass that I've had in a long time, because I lost a lot of my stuff as I've moved around the world, or Canada, I guess. Oh yes, the boxes in so everything in Canada is required to have both on it, so it'll have French on the bottom side. She also gave me this really cute little hand cream called Philosophy. Right? It's super cute. I guess Philosophy is the brand, and she gave me vanilla and fig. But I'm just gonna read this because it's kind of funny. And it says, Philosophy. It's been said that it's what's inside that counts. The benign-looking fig, when combined with just a swirl of vanilla, has what it takes to wake up your taste buds and add a burst of sweetness in life. And I was like, am I supposed to eat it? It smells really good. It smells like I would want to put figs on vanilla ice cream. That's what it smells like. But I might have to try that now, but it makes me think I'm supposed to eat it. I haven't eaten it. I haven't tried it. She did not give me, she didn't give me any shoes. No. She did give me this hilarious little crystal ball, though. And if you turn it on and you ask it a question... Very doubtful. It's like a glowy and shit. So this thing's gonna be a meme on the channel now. Somebody's gonna ask me a question. They're gonna be like, tell Elmo, and very doubtful. So that's funny. This thing's like hefty too. Philosophy is amazing. I have everything. Oh yeah. Thank you. I got out of the shower and I put a little bit of gel in my hair just to keep my little flyaways down on the shaved side, but other than that, like, I'm really happy with the way my hair's turning out. Thank you so much. I don't have my I've got my glasses, but I'm not wearing them right now. Okay, so I'm here to update you guys on court stuff and what's going on and how Kansas was. And yeah, she gave me like this little like care package of like, she gave me like a little bit of under eye stuff and some face mask stuff, and it was just like a little, she gave me basically a gift basket, which I thought was really cute and very kind of her. So I am going to open the floor for questions. I have a few questions already on board from Twitter as well as from YouTube, so I'm going to go through those first, and then I'll get to live chat questions. I will answer what I can. There is going to be like a little bit of a limit of what I'm going to be able to talk about and what I am going to be able to tell you, specifically because the court case is still ongoing, if you had not heard. So if you're unaware, that we were not able to finish the entirety of the hearing in one day, so 2 more dates have been scheduled, and if I'm not mistaken, the month that's in has already been leaked. Not that I think that that's necessarily appropriate, but that it's in May. So I am aware of the current date, but that's subject to change, like the exact day, but that's subject to change. So I'm going to go through some of the questions. We'll start with going through the questions. That's feisty. That's a good question. I'll go through the questions that I have first, and then I'll start getting them from chat. My sister gave me a whole philosophy box for Christmas. Wow. Are they all, like, do they all smell this good? I've never seen this brand before, so I was like, this is great. I absolutely love it. I'm usually not the biggest fan of vanilla scents either. Like, vanilla is like kind of an scent for me a lot of the time. I usually find it's a little bit not my monkey, you know what I mean? But it smells really good. I really love it. Okay, so I'm gonna pull up the questions. I've just got the Twitter ones first. Dog hair in my mouth. Oh my god. Yeah, I wanted to give everybody like a minute to get in. Okay. So what I had said, alright, if y'all have any questions for me about my time in Kansas and court, leave them here. I'll do a stream this weekend to answer and pass on what information I can. So I figure it's best to start with the questions and we'll move on. So Honest Redhead asked, can we have more cute pictures in your little business suit? I can probably make that happen. I can see if I can get some pictures done. I actually thought about wearing what I wore in court today, but I didn't because I wanted to show off my cute little Kansas shirt. And I thought was, like, adorable. I guess their state flower is a sunflower, and that's kind of like a overarching thing there. What foodstuffs were the best? The best food that I had was I got a burger from like a little tiny local burger place, and I don't think I really remember the name of it very well, but I guess there's only like a couple of them in existence, and they were very, very, the burgers were quite good. How long were you allowed to speak? It wasn't really about whether or not I was allowed to. It was more of like how long was I on the stand for. It felt like 2 hours, but I'm pretty sure according to my notes, I didn't take notes. I didn't get the exact time that I was on the stand, but I'm pretty sure it was somewhere between an hour and 30 minutes and an hour and 10 minutes. And so that was just a matter of I got questioned by Charla's lawyer, then I got cross-examined by both Veda and Aaron, and then I got redirected by Charla's lawyer, and then I got brought back on for redirect again by both Aaron and Veda. Did anyone try to ham it up? Not really, no. The expert witness and the other 2 professional witnesses, I guess, so like a psychologist and a medical assistant professional, were both not unfriendly. They answered questions pretty straightforward and directly, but they weren't, like, nobody was being too cheesy, at the very least. Have you seen the video and tweets from Erin? Any comments? I have seen her video. We'll talk about it after I get through the questions a little bit, maybe. How many glares were given? That's a little bit hard for me to tell. I was sitting behind, so I couldn't see anybody. It did look like everybody was kind of avoiding eye contact for the most part, which is usually kind of how you're supposed to conduct yourself, from my understanding. But so it's a little bit hard to tell from that point. Um, how many eye rolls were taken? I did see the judge roll their eyes a couple of times. That happened. Um, was there a tornado? No, there was not a tornado while I was there. The weather was actually quite nice. Um, that's a comment. After your testimony, did everyone clap? No. No, I clapped in my heart though. There were no Dr. Spiegel moments, no. What's it like not being in Kansas anymore? Wonderful, actually. I enjoyed my time there as much as I could for like the fuckety situation that we've found ourselves in. But I enjoyed my time. It was nice there. The weather was nice. Everybody that I talked to and met was really nice. So I didn't have any unpleasant experiences. But I'm glad to be home with my recovering dog. Thanks, Danny. Good to see you. I caught your videos that came out while I was away. Very amusing. um, why didn't they finish? Okay, so that's a very good question. This is gonna be a little bit of opinion, but it just took a long time. As for why it took a long time, there was a lot of the cross-examine questions were a lot of talking in circles, and Charla had a lot to show. Like a lot, they cut down a bunch and like just left things out because they were trying to get through things. So there was like a bunch of stuff that Charla's lawyer didn't even present or get to talk about. But as for like why it took so long is I would probably say like the volume of what Charla had to present, as well as there was a lot of like Aaron and Veda trying to figure out how to kind of ask particular questions. So there was there was some stuff that was a little bit repetitive. But that's court, right? Um, when everyone saw Aaron, were people from Kansas afraid that the Wicked Witch of the West had returned? Not that I'm aware of. I also, if I'm not mistaken, Aaron is from the east, not the west, so she would have been from the other side. The other one. The one that got squashed by a house. Do they allow goblin mode in court? Apparently, yes. There was like one or two things that I was saying on the stand that were kind of goblin-y. At least they were my flavor because it was me speaking and I was trying to be earnest. So if I was trying to be earnest and I was like, no, this situation is frustrating and ridiculous, that was allowed into testimony. Who had the best facial hair, Aaron, Veda, or Aaron? I did not see facial hair on either one of them, so couldn't tell you. Didn't get a close enough look. How do I think the case will go from here? Given what I saw of the evidence that was presented, it seems pretty slam dunk on on Charla's side. Aaron and Veda didn't have the opportunity to present their own testimony and didn't really put anything into evidence while I was there. I think there was only like 2 or 3 things that got put in by Veda that were submitted into evidence. So I'm assuming they're planning on putting their evidence in when they give testimony. I'm not sure how they're planning on doing that. Maybe as like a PowerPoint or something. I'm not sure how they're planning on approaching that scenario or situation. But there's some stuff in there that was presented during Charla's testimony and during the testimony of like the expert witness and like I guess all of her witnesses, excluding myself because I couldn't watch myself. I'm not sure if I was as effective. I felt like I did well, but I don't there are some things in there that I don't see how you would argue, disprove, or go against without trying to make the claim that this evidence or this thing that has been presented to the court is fabricated. And there didn't seem to be anything that was presented that I saw that was fabricated. So I don't know. It seems pretty heftily one-sided. But again, I didn't get to see Aaron or Veda present their side, so who's to say, really? I'm not a professional. What do I know? Did I see any black dogs named Toto in Kansas? No, but I saw the most adorable little, like, wiener dog dashed hound named Scooby, who is very, very cute. Did I have any what the fuck America moments? So, like things that were just America, like, why is America like this? So, one thing that I was like, why are we like this? And I don't think it was just, like, exclusively an American thing. It was a flight, like, airplane thing. I do not understand why airport tickets and the times of flights are not across the board in universal time. They should just be in universal time. Yeah, like, I was on my way back, and I'm coming from Denver to Toronto, right? And I'm leaving Denver at 11 and arriving in Toronto at 4, and my ticket says my flight is 3 hours. And I'm like, that math doesn't check out. Hold on a minute. And it's because there's a time zone jump, right? So and I'm like, why is this not all just in universal time? I do not understand why we do this. This is absolutely insane. I don't know why we would do anything except doing things in universal time. So they wasted all that time and got nothing. I mean, they were both able to take... So, when you go to court, usually both sides will present the other one with their evidence ahead of time, but as we saw in, like, for example, the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, they had binders, and both sides had a copy of each other's binders. And so Aaron and Veda both got a binder filled with what's being presented in their case. So there's some stuff in different spots in each of those binders because their cases are still individual cases, but they have those now, and I think that should be good for them. Like, that gives them a lot to work with, so maybe since they have 2 months to work on it now, maybe they'll be able to come up with something. At least they have it, and it's organized in a way that should be comprehensible at the very least. What was the most two frustrating moments in the cross-examined like, when they cross-examined me? That's a good question. I'll come back to that, though. I just want to get through the Twitter question. So if I forget, ask me again. Sorry, Angry Roach, I see your question as well. Sorry, give me a second to get through the one set of questions, and then I'll move on to the next set. Did you go on stand? Yes. Did you win? Me specifically, I felt like I was in a no-lose scenario. No matter what happened in this scenario, as far as I was concerned, it was a win for me. How did people react? To me in particular, people were a little flustered. The Charla's lawyer there were questions that I think that I was asked that she could have objected to, but she chose not to object to them, because she liked the way I was answering the questions. That was my takeaway from it. Can we have those pics? Yeah, I'll get dressed up again, and once it's in the laundry right now. So once it's washed, I'll see if I can get a couple pictures. From being with someone's family for 4 days, how did you interpret them as people? Did you meet grandchildren? Are all those shoes on the floor in your pic from a meet and greet, or were they all yours? Or were you at someone's home where multiple people live? Alright, so one at a time. From being with someone's family with 4 days, how did you interpret them as people? So while I was there, I met Charla. I met Charla's husband. I met Charla's daughter-in-law, who was set to be a witness. Her daughter, who was also set to be a witness. I did meet her son and grandson. They came over one of the days to, I guess, support their mom the day before court, as a supportive, caring family would. I got there, they had, so, okay, before I went, Charla was warning me that she's been so stressed out and her house is a mess. And so I was going there expecting, like, oh, well, maybe I'll help her clean something while I'm there or something like that. I don't know. But I showed up and it was nice. She's got a nice house. It's like the colors are nice. It's got some gorgeous, like, the way that it's laid out. I don't want to give too much of the floor plan away. It is very, very nice. Speaking with Charla, she's just a normal person. Albeit a stressed out person, but that seems fair to me. Nothing, like, out of the ordinary. She didn't have any, like, fits. She wasn't mad. She was very friendly. There wasn't anything weird going on. I noticed that, because I kept an eye while I was there, right? Because I'm like, okay, well, let's see. And her family were all very friendly. They seemed to all get along with each other really well. There wasn't any, like, you know how people sometimes will give, like, backhanded or underhanded comments about each other or, like, each other's houses when there's, like, a little bit of bad blood? Didn't get any of that. Charlotte was showing me around her house and she was pointing stuff out, and at one point I just put my head in my hands and I said, why is this house so adorable? Like, everything in this house has some kind of, like, sentimental value. Like, there's a story behind everything. And she was like, no, there isn't. What are you talking about? It's just like a house. And I pointed to, like, the wall in the dining room, which was almost like a burgundy. And I was like, why is your dining room this color? And she goes, oh, so back in the day, it turns out that I'm really bad at picking wallpaper. And she starts going on in this story about this ugly wallpaper that she picked out that she thought was going to look nice. And she got this whole story. At one point, I looked at her while her husband was standing there and I said, hey, what's the story about your toaster? And they said, what, the toaster? I said, yeah, what's going on with your toaster? And then Charlotte launches into this story about, oh, my husband got this toaster for me and this year with this thing, and then trailed off. And I'm just like, everything in this house has a thing. Everything has a thing. It was very cute. It's very cute. But yeah, I spent some time around them. They were nice people. They all seemed to get along well. Their family all seemed to care about each other and kind of knew some of what was going on, but they didn't know everything that was going on because it looked like Charlotte was showing some of them what had been going on. And they saw a lot of it in court, right? And some of them were just like, I didn't even realize that was it was this bad. And there were some things that Charla said in her testimony that there was corroborating evidence that was put forth that I'm like, I didn't even know it was that bad. And I was just like, oh boy. There was one thing that came up in court, and I'm not going to give you the details on that particular instance, but I know that you know. And also, I know something you don't know. Oh boy. Will that make its way public eventually? Maybe. But I think since it's an ongoing case, it wouldn't be appropriate for me to share right now. But remind me, like, once things are closed down, and we'll see if I can fill you guys in on it. But, there's a couple things that I'm in a really weird position now where I know that Veda and Aaron know that I know that they know, right? So they know that I know that they know, and they know that I know, right? So, like, oh boy, that was like that was a bit of a yikes. That was one of those things where I was just like, oh no. I took notes, though. I wrote it down, so I won't forget. It's right here. Nobody else, I could send this notebook to somebody and nobody else would be able to read it. I was just like chicken scratching my way through. Like, it's incomprehensible. These notes make no sense to anybody but me. Yeah, I also know a little, like, that, the particular thing I'm referencing, I also know a little bit more about the situation than they know about the situation now. So it's like, I'm in a really weird position with that one. So I'm just gonna sit on it for now and, they know that I know that you know that we know that I know that they know. That's a good question. How frequently did Steve's name come up? That's an interesting question. Steve's name, let me double check. Hold on. The first time Steve's name came up, because I did write down a little bit of, like, what time it was. Hold on. Because I made a note of the first time he was brought up. Because I thought that was interesting. That's 10:30. Court started at 9. And Aaron and Veda were late, so that was... I'm sorry, I'll stop teasing. So, like, that wasn't good. Hold on, let me find it. Okay, here it is. So, the first time Steve came up was at around, before noon-ish. So, like, around noon. So it'd be sometimes between, like, 11:45 and, like, 10 after 12. Somewhere within that 30-minute time frame about would have been when the first time Steve came up. According to my notes. That might not be exact. Like, I'm kind of hoping we might be able to get the transcript in the future. But it should be around that time, give or take. I'm not being exact. Oh, thank you, Rose. And how many times he came up, that I couldn't say. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't write down all of Charla's testimony. Like, I was taking notes furiously until Charla was on the stand because I specifically didn't want to. I was like, a lot of this is, like, very personal stuff that's supposed to stay private, so I didn't want to be too thorough about her kind of just telling her her side of the situation. I just double check. Did you say it looks like I'm in Kansas now, Toto, when you landed? I did not. I did not say that. And then somebody posted a picture that says which one is Aaron and which one is Veda, and it's like two pictures. They both had the same hair, which was kind of interesting. They were both, like, blonde with faded pink. They were a little bit out of sorts, but, I mean, they were a little bit late, and the situation is definitely a little bit unfortunate for them, so I can understand that. I'm not pick on that too much. I can understand being a little bit out of sorts, especially in a legal situation where you have no lawyer and don't know what you're doing. Okay, I have one more thing of questions, and I'll start getting them exclusively from chat. Let me just pull these up real quick. View my channel, please. Thanks. Community tab. Alright, I got, tell us about all the important details of your hair. I shaved down before I left. I had a little bit of gel in the back here just to keep my little sticky up ones off to the side, and I had my hair clipped. That's the details about how I do my hair. The judge's decision and what actions are going to be taken for restitution. So we don't have a definitive decision, and we don't have any restitution yet, because they didn't believe that they could get through everything in that one day. I was the last testimony to go, and I was technically going out of order because I think I was supposed to be last out of everyone, and Veda and Aaron didn't even have a chance to cross-examine Charla yet. So there's still gonna be a lot to do. Was there a coffee machine in the courts? I didn't see one. Not at least where I was. Results, who won and why. We don't have any results yet. Situation is ongoing. And according to EKC, she proved that you are just a Steve hater and not credible. I'd like to know how. I would also like to know how. I couldn't tell you. I can't answer that question. Sorry. I don't know how she thinks that was proven. Also, I pushed back my live stream because you got to be here for this. Oh, thank you so much. All right, so that's all the the preemptive questions. So I will focus now entirely on live chat. What you got for me, guys? Were you able to absorb the chaos latent in the Denver airport? I had to run. I was almost late for my my connecting flight from Denver to Toronto because of the flight landed, and then I had to go all the way from gate like B something, and then I had to get all the way, take a tram, and to get all the way to like A45 in a whole other building. So that was a thing. That was a thing. Who was there as witnesses? Oh, that's a good question. So though I was there as a witness for Charla, Charla's husband, daughter-in-law, and daughter were all set up to be witnesses. Obviously there was Charla's own testimony, but not technically a witness, I guess. So there was that. And then there was a medical provider who was basically somebody who helps manage medications, who's like a medical assistant, who had been like working with Charla for like 10 to 15 years. And then Charla's psychologist, and then the expert witness. So that would be what? Not including Charla, 7, if I'm not mistaken. As for Aaron and Veda's side, there was nobody. They showed up on their own. I mean, they showed up together, but they didn't have anybody else with them. Veda asked if she could submit some witness statements at the beginning, and the judge denied it. There should always be a coffee machine. Yes. Yes, there should be. Let me make sure that I'm getting everybody's questions. I know that I saw some, so I'm going to scroll back a little bit in the chat. Was there something really frustrating during cross-examination of you as a witness by Veda and Aaron? I wasn't really annoyed. Like, I didn't really get too annoyed by what they were asking. Like, most of their questions I could kind of understand, like, what they were trying to ask. But what was kind of frustrating is that I understood the question. So, particularly Veda. She was trying to ask questions, and I understood the question she was trying to ask me. But I wanted to help her. I was like, I understand what you're asking, but I can't do that. I have to, like, wait for her to kind of figure out how she wanted to phrase it. So that was it wasn't really annoying. It was more just like, this is rough. You know what I mean? Chesh, but you didn't bring Steve up. It was either Veda, Aaron, or Charla's lawyer. Yeah, I don't go on the stand and then just talk, right? I have to be asked questions. And so, I have to answer as truthfully or as best as I can, or to the best of my knowledge or memory. So yeah, I don't just get up and just start talking. So any time that Steve would have come up, it would have been due to a question that was asked. I've heard there was some restraining orders put in place. Can you comment on that? And is that information correct? I've been out of the loop and only caught wind of this recently. Oh, you need a TLDR. So there is currently, Steve has an active restraining order. Veda and Aaron were in court, and that was the hearing that I went to for temporary restraining orders. And from my understanding, Ranel also has a temporary restraining order. Veda had tried to file a restraining order on Charla and Katie Joy in North Carolina, and that was tossed out. And Steve tried to file a restraining order on Charla in California, which he dropped the day of. Hopefully that answers your question. So as of right now, for Veda and Aaron, the temporary restraining orders are remaining in place. And so whatever rules applied before the hearing are applying after the hearing. if that makes sense. Let me know if that didn't, if you need more than that, if that answered your question or not. Have the courts decided that you're a Steve hater? I don't think so. That it was not what the court was there to decide, so I would imagine that the court does not have an opinion on that. I don't think that's a. I don't think they came to a conclusion. I think the jury's still out on that one. So Erin's son did not come with her. Erin and Veda showed up together, but they had nobody else with them. So if there was somebody else that was supposed to be there with them, they were not. What was it like seeing them in person? Charlotte was wonderful. I had a good time with her. She was very friendly. She was very accommodating. She gave me popcorn. I got to eat her lasagna, which was quite good. Her family was very nice. Her husband is a very sweet person. From my experience with him, I enjoyed my time just chatting. We did have a lot to talk about with like the case and what was going on and X, Y, and Z and yada 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 and where things are going to go from here, but a lot of that is remain to be seen. As for Erin and Veda, I can't say I was surprised. They are kind of about what I expected. They were very flustered. I took a look over while questioning was going on, and I actually wrote it down because they were sharing a desk. So there was like a desk with Erin and Veda, and then a desk with Charla and her lawyer, and then all the witnesses sitting on one side, and then a bunch of empty chairs on the other side. And the desk, as the day went on, just got more and more chaotic. There were like papers everywhere. Erin was taking notes with like a fluffy dollar store pen with a poof on the top of it, and she was taking notes on like post-it notes, and I was like, this is so strange. Veda was very fidgety the whole time, very much like rustling papers around, looking around, slouching down, like very, very spinning around in her chair a little bit. I don't think she spun all the way around, but she was doing like the chair swing. There was a few things, like I'm not going to go into too much detail because there was a couple things that I was like, what? But I'm not here to judge. That's not my job. I'm here I guess technically right now I'm here as a witness answering questions about me being there as a witness. It's witnessception. Ugh, I don't, it was, I there was a time I was actually considering when I got back reaching out to Veda to ask to just have like, do you want to have like a one-on-one conversation and we can kind of like have like a little bit of a heart to heart and maybe like just sit down as people and have a conversation. But I haven't made a decision, and I think that maybe I'm gonna not, only because like it's still ongoing. So I think that's probably not the greatest idea. So I don't want to, because I don't want to bother them. It smells so good. I really like this Philosophy hand cream. Did Katie Joy appear? No, Katie Joy did not. Katie Joy didn't come. I did have this Katie Joy shirt that I brought with me, and I got Charlotte to sign it on the top. So I was thinking that it would be really fun that now that since some of this is going on, I thought it would be really fun that I'll sign it and then I can mail it to one of you guys, and then one of you guys could take a picture of it and then sign it with like your online moniker. You don't have to sign it with your real name. Sign it with like your online moniker and then mail it to the next person, and then they can take a picture of it, picture with it, and they can you don't have to show your face in the picture. Obviously, you can like hold it up over your head or whatever, and then like sign it and then mail it to the next person, then sign it and mail it to the next person. I just think that would be a lot of fun if you guys are interested. I think that would be a good time. So let me know if that's something you guys want to do, and who would volunteer to take the shirt next. Yeah, like a chainmail t-shirt. Yeah. we'll see how far it goes before it gets lost somewhere. And I think the idea would be, I think it'd be good to send it to Manya last, and then Manya can send it back to me. You want it? Yeah. All right. All right. We'll get in touch. I'll set something up where you guys can like send me your like mailing addresses, because obviously like you don't want to just give your addresses to strangers and stuff. So we'll figure out how to navigate that. Just so that way everybody stays safe. But yeah, I thought that would be a fun idea. Um, oh, that's not a very nice question. The main difference in how Charla versus how they portray her. Oh, that's a good question. She's not a psycho. She's just a regular lady. She's just a nice regular lady. She like at worst to me she came off like maybe a little bit neurotic, but yeah, she's stressed out. Court's coming up. She's being harassed. So like yeah, of course there were signs of some stressors that were, but like for the most part she was perfectly fine. She was friendly, she was amicable. I saw her helping her grandson learn math. like asking him math questions, and she was incredibly patient with him when he was trying to like sass the answers back. So I mean she seemed like just a regular fine lady who gets along well with her family members, and was stressed out about the situation that she's found herself in. That's how she came off to me. Her testimony was a little bit touch and go at some spots, where she was like you could see her very much clearly getting visibly upset, and like starting to cry a little bit here and there, when she was describing some of the things. Most notably, the one that I took the most note of is she started getting upset when she was describing she was reading out her very first like initial DMs with Aaron. And so those that was clearly like something that had upset her. If I'm remembering correctly, it seemed like she was describing that she did trust and believe in Aaron to some degree, and that she was really hurt by the way things had gone down versus or how everybody was behaving now, or how things had gone down versus how they had initially started. No, we would never skip Manya for the shirt. I wouldn't send anything to England or postal services crap. No, we have to send it overseas. It'll have to be. You want in? Mr. Serious wants his address sent to strangers. Kathy P is in. Goblin Hood of the traveling t-shirt. I'm kind of debating on seeing if we can actually get it sent to KJ to sign, because this is old merch. Like, you can't get this. This, as far as I know, this merch doesn't exist in her store anymore. But I wonder if she would, like, actually sign it and then pass it on, or if she would be like, ew, don't bother me. Which, that would be a fair response, I guess. I just think it would be funny. Can someone sign my name on it? Oh, no, you have to get it. Manya, what was your question? Sorry, there's a lot of questions coming in, so I'm trying to get all of them, but I'm clearly not getting all of them. Is Charla in relatively good spirits considering all the online abuse by Steve and his friends? Yeah, she's not like a wreck. Like, clearly her life and things that she was working on have taken a back seat to everything that had been going on. From what I could tell, like projects that haven't been worked on, or things that she was planning on doing that haven't come to fruition because of all this stuff that was going on, like, painting a living room or whatever, stuff like that. But she seems to be like, she's doing okay. the fact that we have to like that she's got to do another 2 days of court, and then also Steve's, and then also Renell's, I think is weighing on her. It's like seems pretty stressed out, but other than that, like yeah, she's doing her best. Um, Chesh, the DMs that Aaron assured her, yes, those DMs, yeah. Um, So Charla had positive relationships with her family, and they didn't all tell you she was psychotic. Correct. So the opposite of what Stephen Coe claimed repeatedly to people. Yes, that they were all. They clearly all showed up and came, and some of them came some distance and went through some emotional stress on behalf of their mom, on behalf of their family member. So like they seemed like they cared about her. They seemed like they see her on a semi-regular basis or as often as they can. Like some were coming from out of town, and so they don't see them as often, but they were all happy to be there for her. They seemed to enjoy her company. They didn't keep their distance from her in any way, shape, or form. They were all very nice people. The false criminal accusations by Steve, especially, is crazy, but so many others amplified the damage by sharing and retweeting it. Yeah. I have heard the story for. You feel bad for the judge? Yeah. Yeah, there is, yeah, for Charlotte and her family, like, there doesn't seem to be any kind of, cognitive impairments. During the trial, they went through the professionals that have been working with her, from like her psychologist and her medications manager, went through what issues she does have, and none of them were listed as any kind of impairments or like mental impairments. So like no mention of any kind of autism, no mention of any kind of learning disability or communication dysfunction. Nothing about any of that came up. And the psychiatrist, specified one of her conditions, or one or two of the conditions that she had been diagnosed with were specifically without psychosis. And I guess they had done some kind of reality testing, and that she had no cognitive issues and no signs of delusion or hallucinations, and no signs of like anything like that. No signs of psychosis. So that was like very explicit. Sorry, excuse me. Is she optimistic about how things will go? Sending much love to Charlotte. It's hard to say. I think there's an ebb and flow. I think sometimes she feels confident and okay, and then sometimes the stress sort of gets to her and it kind of brings her down a little bit. So I think there's kind of like a bit of a wave of like sometimes she's doing well, and sometimes she seems like she's a little bit more stressed out than others. But again, I was only there for a very short period of time, so it was like into a court date and then out of a court date where she found out she's gonna have to do 2 more court dates. So that can be kind of a bit of a roller coaster, if you understand what I mean. What is the best advice you can give to Aaron and Veda? Is it getting a lawyer? It's getting a lawyer, isn't it? I thought so. Yeah, they need to get a lawyer and they need to settle, if that's even possible for them at this point. At least, so if I had to describe this, I sort of had like an idea in my mind of kind of who they are at people and what I would expect from them. And one thing that I learned about the two of them from this scenario is Veda's smarter than Aaron is. Veda is definitively has a better idea and understanding of the reality of the situation and what's going on than Aaron does. Veda was, although struggling, she was at least trying and putting in a concerted effort. And I am not gonna give her shit for struggling. But my assessment from what I observed, Veda is absolutely has more of a grasp on this entire situation than Aaron currently does. And I put her. I'd say based on that alone, Veda's smarter than Aaron is. Her questions were, although like some of the questions were like, there were a handful of questions that I was like, you know what, that's a good question. I don't know if that's a good question for court because I don't understand what their line of questioning was, but who am I? I'm not a lawyer. So, I mean, maybe they had a line of questioning that they just weren't able to follow down. But it was a good, like, there were a few questions that were actually just good general questions. I don't know if they were, like I said, I don't know if they're good for court, but they were generally good questions. Just imagine having a Discord group. The Discord did come up, yeah. Are you trying to say that Veda, Aaron, Steve, and others were spreading false information? Say so. Are you and going real life by reaching out and bringing a strange man? Yes, that was something that came up. The over the edge thing was something that specifically came up, but I'm not going to go too much into detail about it. I've got a silly question. Where can I find out what this whole trial is about? I would recommend. Where would be a good way to get like a solid TLDR breakdown? Because I mean, the company videos kind of display a scope of the situation and like the number of creators involved, but I don't think there's a video that's got like a definitive timeline from start to finish. I might have to get back to you on that. Because, like, it's just a lot of content. It's like, if you want to dive in and know all the details, you're looking at spending hours, like, days, to try and get everything that went down. Did you get any sketches? No, sadly, I wasn't able to make any sketches. I had to spend too much time making notes, and the angle I was sitting on wasn't a good angle for any courtroom sketches. Was any credible evidence that KJ was involved? Nothing was shown. Really about KJ. The only thing that was really described about KJ was how Charla got to the Blocked by Katie Joy Facebook group in the first place, and then Charla's lawyer did ask Charla if she was ever associated with or working or paid by Katie Joy, and the answers were all no on the stand. So you can take that for what you will. But again, Veda and Aaron did not get to present their evidence, their testimony, nor did they get to cross-examine Charla. So any evidence that would show that would likely not have had a chance to be presented yet. So I had come out of the bushes to express my absolute and complete shock at that statement. Oh, yeah, that's my assessment. So take it with a grain of salt. But yeesh is all I have to say. Oh yes, the DramaCon t-shirt. Yeah, we'll talk about that. I went to Kansas and all I got was this drama shirt. I like that. Hello. So like Steve, there was no evidence. So a lot of evidence was presented for Charla's side. Aaron and Veda just haven't had their chance to go. I don't know what evidence they could possibly have that would get them out of this. But I'm not gonna pretend that they have, like, that they don't have a chance. Because, I mean, I'm not a court professional. This is just my understanding of the scenario and what I saw there. It has been surprising to me the level to which the gravity of the situation is not fully understood by some of the people involved. Yeah, this is no longer YouTube banter. This is real and has serious consequences. You are 100% correct. Yes, absolutely. Did Veda wear a tube top that was? No. I don't. I think she was just wearing like a regular tank top with like a pullover jean, like thin denim or like a thin jean styled jacket. It might have just been fabric that was meant to look like jean. I didn't touch it. I didn't get that close to find out. And flip flops. How the heck did I get pulled into this? I'd said that Steve wasn't swatted. Steve made a claim that he was swatted. I came out and laughed at that and said, nuh-uh, LOL. And then they started making a bunch of response content about me, which involved them bringing up this Charla woman, and so I started looking into what was going on. From like a YouTube standpoint. That's kind of how I entered into the scenario. I did testify that Charla had reached out to me in early October to ask for information about Steve. But I didn't recall that she made any accusations. She just said that, hey, do you have information about this individual engaging in this type of behavior? And I said, here's some links, here's some resources for you, enjoy. And I think I described that I was actually quite tentative, and like, I was like arm's lengthing this situation until I got curious, and as soon as I was curious, I was like, alright, let's find what this rabbit hole is about, and I watched some of Aaron's content, and Steve's content, and Veda's content, and down the rabbit hole I fell, and I completely separately saw that Steve had talked about being swatted, and I was like, LOL, what the fuck? I doubt it. And then saw that he made the accusation about Charla, and then made my video. Yoy. But, yeah. He clearly wasn't swatted. Yeah, no, he was not. He was not swatted. It did come up in court that, like, that line of questioning got brought up in court. Again, I don't want to be too specific about, like, the exact question I was asked, because the questions were... It was a little bit clusterfucky while I was on the stand. But the line of questioning was essentially what you were asking about, like, kind of how I got involved and what I had said. And I had said that, because they were asking me, like, when they ever made the claim that Charla was swatted, and I said, you did a video called Operation SWAT, and you did a video titled Responding to Chesh's whatever the fuck, because I couldn't remember the second half of the video. And in that video, you said, I agree with you, except fuck you anyway, where you reiterated Steve's claims, went onto a panel with Steve, who made the initial accusation, and agreed with him. Acting like they're fucking scared. Bullshit. Does anyone know who made the SWAT phone call? Nope. That wasn't presented in evidence while I was there. Maybe that call, if it's available, will show up in evidence elsewhere. They have no idea who made that call. There's no way for them to demonstrate who made the call. I'm not even convinced there's a way for them to demonstrate who made that call. Even if they get it. Like, even if they have the call, I don't think they're gonna know. The same way, like, they speculate about, like, oh, this person called the Katie's Brewery X number of times and said this, and they're like, oh, it was Kathy P who did it. Like, they have no fucking idea. It's just gossip column bullshit. There's no analysis. They're not gonna hire a professional to try to, like, analyze the voices. That would cost, like, fucking... We're looking at, like, at a minimum $4,000 or some crazy amount of money to get that analyzed. And I'm just pulling that number out of my ass. I don't actually know. But it would be expensive. Especially for court. Did the mod meeting get played, and is Veda the one that recorded it? Veda, I don't know if Veda recorded it, but I do know at least one person who has admitted to recording it now. Um, and the mod meeting came up, and part of it was played. They obviously didn't play the whole thing because that would have been a long time in court. It does go deep, yeah. Um, there's a definite split in the antis now, and they're not playing nice with each other. Oh, really? I so seeing who was in that mod call, I would have I would be surprised if at least four people that were in that call would have been smart enough to record it, or would have recorded it, whether or not they're intelligent. So like if because Steve was hosting that moderation call, right? Steve would be a fucking moron to have not recorded that call. Same with Veda. Veda would have been an idiot to not record that call. Nikki was also in that call, and I think that would be incredibly foolish of her to not record it. So I don't know definitively who did and who didn't record it. I do know now of one person who said that they did. Isn't it fun how telling the truth makes things so much clearer? Yes. How much did you miss? How much did you miss Puck, and what was the reunion like? I missed Puck very much. I was worried about him while I was away, but I was getting some updates for while I was away, so I wasn't too worried like with his amputation. Puck did come up in court, so that was funny. Vaden denied being in the mod call that Kathy says that they played, and she changed it and said she was in there for a few minutes, and she was in that call for 2 minutes. She was in that call from 2 minutes till the end. Yeah, that sounds right. I haven't done the math, but yeah. There's a chance that the call to the police has nothing to do with the case. It might have been the wrong address. At this point, I don't think it was the wrong address because Nikki let it slip that, and Steve acknowledged that the police or the sheriffs had shown up to his door at least 3 times before this at that point. And, plus the note about multiple DV calls, corroborates that. So I don't think it was a wrong address, but I suspect that whatever that is, it has nothing to do with anything, and it wasn't Charla. I don't think so. I have no belief that Charla was involved. Have they learned what a quarter past the hour is? No, they were late. They showed up to court late. They showed up back to breaks late more than once. So, no, they haven't learned to tell time. Oh, yeah, the cancer comment. So, yeah, they asked me about me saying fuck cancer, and I said, yeah, I said, yes, of course I said fuck cancer, because cancer is a bad thing. And then I described how, them misrepresenting what I had said about fuck cancer had led to their followers wishing death and cancer upon my dog, who so happened, I found out a couple of days later, was diagnosed with cancer, which he is currently at home recovering from an amputation from. My 12-year-old geriatric dog. So yeah, that came up in court. Yeah. Fuck cancer. Can I get a fuck cancer in the chat, by the way? Chat, everybody. Fuck cancer. Fuck cancer. You can get a fuck cancer in the chat. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. Hmm. Yeah, I don't think Kathy P. I don't think you're the person who was calling Katie Joy's brewery back in whatever the fuck year that was. I wouldn't believe that was you. Puck is adorable. We love Puck. Yes, Puck is the best boy. Um, Eve, yeah, that's certainly possible. Um, Yep, fuck cancer. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. Let me just make sure I got all the questions. If you asked a question that I haven't answered, please ask again. I likely just missed it because there's a lot of questions coming in. So if there's anything you want to ask that you did ask and I missed, please ask me again. It's likely that I just missed it. Did the judge have a reaction about the fuck cancer comment? Okay, that's actually a good question. It was hard for me to get a read on the judge while I was on the stand because she's kind of sitting like right here. And so I was kind of, when I was talking, I was sort of addressing the room and the judge once in a while. So I'm not 100% sure about what the judge's reactions to me were like. So maybe if you find Charla, you can ask. Or maybe Veda and Aaron will think it's a good idea to keep trying to come at me publicly as a witness in an ongoing case. Because that seems like a great idea. And for anybody who's curious, no, I am not under any rules that I have to not say or do or can't do specific things. I'm not under any kind of obligation, legal or otherwise. So I could share all of my notes, and I could talk about what I know more of that you know that I know, but I'm not gonna. Check Discord messages. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry, I'm just cracking my back. Oh my god. Why, Manya, why? What do you need that for? I know why, don't tell me. I think I know why. Will I have to go to court again? That's a good question. Maybe. I don't know yet. I might need to go back for May. It's possible that I can be called back. I might be called in depending on what goes on with Renell and depending on what goes on with Steve's current situation. So depending on what goes on with Steve, I could be called back for anything. So what I should say is I do have some leftover GoFundMe money because I didn't stay in a hotel. And I didn't stay in a hotel because, well, one, Charlotte was nice enough to put me up and I crashed on her couch. But two, because I didn't know if I was going to have to come back. And so I saved some of that money in not getting a hotel, so that way if I get called back, I'm not going to be like, hey guys, give me more money. So that's just, I've kind of set that money aside for now, just in case I need to return. I will update like with a text version of that on the GoFundMe. I do have a couple of receipts from some of the stuff that I needed to do, but I'll make sure those get posted. But yeah, I did not end up staying in a hotel just so I could save money just in case I did need to come back. So I'll be able to, what I'll probably do is I'll leave the I'll probably close it like in the next day or so when I get time. But I'll write an update that will get posted there and I'll just close it off because like I don't know what's going to happen for the near future, and it's also possible now that the judge has had me there in person that she might allow me to come remotely. So I'll write an update, I'll close the GoFundMe, and the money I was able to save by not staying in a hotel will be used if I need to go back to court. So I scrounged and spent as little money as I possibly could to make sure everything was gonna be on the okay and the up and up. Erin imitated me. What did she imitate me about? I missed that. As I explained, understand. Yeah, Intrigue Feline on Twitter made a really good point about witnesses in Kansas statutes, but I'm not gonna go over it right now. Maybe at another time. Will the transcripts of the court case be made public, or is it all sealed? Sorry if you mentioned this already. I don't know. I'm kind of hoping I can get my little goblin hands on it. Right now, it's all private. I might be making this up, but from my understanding, the only people who are going to get access to it are going to be the parties involved. So, like, Charla and Charla's lawyer will be able to get it if they want it, and Veda and Aaron will be able to get a copy. So I don't know if it will ever be made public, or if they get it, if it's technically allowed to be public. I'm not 100% sure about what those are like, but if I can get my little goblin goobery hands on it, I really want to read my section, because there are definitely questions that were asked that I'm forgetting about, because they were just so the line of questioning was not very fluid, and so because it was kind of like mishmashed, it's hard for me to remember it in a cohesive way, because it wasn't very cohesive, I guess. So we'll see. I should have asked somebody to take notes for me while I was on the stand, and I fucking didn't. That's my bad. I fucked that up. Black Wolf was your go. Now Black Wolf was your GoFundMe was a fraud and call you a scam. Well, he's doing that anyway. I don't care about him. As far as I can tell, Steve started this. Yeah, it's hard to say without seeing like their collective DMs, which it is possible that we might, given like what they might put into evidence, it is possible that we might end up being able to kind of put a clearer picture together of like where this started and kind of like where it took off from, based on the DMs that Charlotte's submitting to court, as well as combined with the whatever Aaron, Veda, Steve, and or Rennell end up, and or Steve. I don't know if Steve's going to be even allowed to present anything at court now, because he's already got a restraining order in place. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with that. But there might be DMs that are released or submitted into court that will give us a clearer picture of sort of where things kind of took off from in the background. But publicly, yeah, a lot of some of the more escalated accusations came from Steve. Is it likely that the company will still be bitching about this for the next 5 years like they do about KJ? Yes. So the professional, like the expert witness, was speaking a little bit, like they were asked a little bit about, will stopping one individual in a group from harassing an individual stop the rest of the people? And he had said, no, it is likely not. They will just find more people. And make general statements like, if anybody has any information about this person, reach out to me. Like that kind of stuff. And one of the things that I noted during my testimony was like, even in the time between buying my tickets, like even in the past couple of weeks, there's been new channels picking this story up and talking about this shit like it's real. And talking about this shit like Charlotte did any of this stuff. So, like, when it's kind of like if you cut off one head, 3 more grow. So, it's likely that even just if Aaron and Veda are, like, lose and have some kind of financial burden, or, I guess, worst case scenario, jail time, it is not likely that their followers will stop, and it's not likely that you're gonna see, like, the Michelle account that's popped up recently with Megan, or whatever the fuck the name of that account is, or like your country girl Brenda's, or your rabbit holes, your Rennells. Like there's more will likely crop up, and it seemed like the expert witness had agreed with me about that. I got it, Manya. Relax. Freaking out, man. Why can't it be all zoomed due to it being a restraining order, so all the so from my understanding, the reason why it wasn't, there was a motion to have everybody show up in person, was a motion that was put forward by Aaron and Veda. So Aaron and Veda were told that they had to show up in person because, according to Aaron, the judge seemed to think that there was some shenaniganry going around in the background. At least that's what I was able to infer from what she was saying. And then, as for witnesses showing up, there was a motion that the judge agreed with, from Aaron and Veda, that said, well, if we have to show up in person, everybody else has to show up in person, because who knows if they were trying to record things. I mean, I tried to record things by writing them the fuck down like a good little note taker. So, any devices were taken and were turned off. There was to be no recording. You weren't allowed having your purse or anything with you, or a bag or anything. So if any audio comes out from that, it means somebody was recording when they should not have been. I only had my phone with me. I turned it off, put it in the bucket, and took notes with the pen and paper. So, yep, Kathy. Kathy's gonna be going live after me, if not before I'm done. So, hello. Good to see you. What does Charla hope to get from this? I think she hopes to be left the fuck alone. From my understanding, it seems like Charla just wants to be left the fuck alone. And doesn't want to be harassed. Yes, Manya, I understand. Thank you. Charla likely wants peace and relief from the harassment and threats and to regain safety in her real life. Yeah, that's what it is. She wants to be left alone. She wants to be able to feel safe in her own home. She wants to not have to be worried or scared for her family members. She was receiving a lot of threats. Like I didn't realize how many, like, threatening and, like, invasive, like, messages and emails she had been getting. And she said on the stand that there was, like, in and around 600. And I would like to point out that the only stuff that we covered in court, because I think this is kind of relevant, the only stuff that was covered in court while I was there was between July and September. Like the beginning of September. They didn't cover into September or afterward. The only things that were outside of the scope of that time frame were witness testimonies. So any kind of evidence that was played, Charla's testimony, everything was between the time frame of July to the beginning of September. So, like, my testimony was from October, and what I was, because that's when I kind of showed up on the scene, I guess. And then the psychiatrist was talking about, the psychiatrist, like the two professionals in the medical field were talking about how this has affected her over time. And so those were a little bit outside of that time frame, but the evidence and what was portrayed and what they were talking about was, for the most part, between these dates. So they haven't even gotten to, like, contempt or anything that's happened after the TROs were dropped. I will specify that Aaron and Veda, if I am not mistaken, both of them were handed and served by the bailiff with motion to show how you're not in contempt. So there's that. Hey Vigri, good to see you. I wonder if I could use my phone with my audio devices, such as my hearing aid, as it controls some personal microphones. I would assume that the court would be willing to work with or allow specific devices for stuff like that. Sure, I don't see why they wouldn't. Then again, it is America, and America can be weird sometimes, where they're like, "No, fuck you." So you might have to have, like, an interpreter. I'm not 100% sure. Good question. Folks should be aware that all comments, tweets, chats are being screenshotted. Well, that disappeared. But yeah, it's alive. It's literally right here. Your chats are on the screen right now. So, sorry. They're all right there. No hiding in this place. How come Anya didn't get to go? I was happy thinking you guys would get to meet. Yeah, that would have been nice, because it was too expensive. With the amount of that Charla had, she likely wouldn't have needed both of us anyway. But it would have been really expensive to get to get Manya there. Wow, that's more death threats than even I get. Yeah, it was like, and it wasn't even just death threats. It was like death threats. It was spam. It was like some of the stuff she claimed was pornographic in nature. So, sorry, clicked the wrong button. Just wanted folks to know. Yeah, no worries. Forgetting. You're good to go. Hi, Unfinished Journey. All right. I have one or two things that I still want to go through, but I need to pee and I need more tea. So I'm gonna give us a quick break, and I will be back in like 2 minutes. Let's just do the countdown. I'll be back in 2 minutes. That's a really fast 2 minutes, but I got Puck. Hi, buddy. Welcome home, Ruby's Clippers. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm still keeping an eye out on questions. Buddy. High five. Yeah, I got a cookie in my hand. Alright, so... Alright, let me just turn that off so we can go back to chat. I saw Generic pop in. Hi, Generic. Good to see you. You would have been like bug-eyed watching just like psychoanalyzing Veda and Aaron on the trying to cross-examine people on the side, man. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. So the mod call. I wanted to... Oh, sorry, one second. So, for anybody who can't read between the lines, only one person that was in that was testifying could have been in that mod call. And the reaction, from what I could see from Veda and Aaron was like, woohoo! They had no idea. Because they've been running around accusing about who they think, who was recording the mod call, who released the mod call, blah, 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 blah. So I don't know 100% who, like, if anybody else had recorded it, right? But while they were on the stand, let me see if I can get the actual question. I'll write down what I wrote, or I'll read you out what I wrote in my notes, so you can kind of get an idea of what my notes sound like. Hi Sue, I hope you're doing okay. I've been seeing some bullshit. Fair enough. Hold on, I'm sorry, hold on, let me get my notes. Here we go. The mod call came up, and I wrote, Charla claims to have been in the mod call using her cousin's picture. So what Charla described was that she knew... Do you want a piece of this cookie? Come on over here. Come on the bed. Look, I got a piece of cookie. Come on the bed. This is like shortbread. Go on the bed. Good job, buddy. Here you go. Oh my god. You failure. I'm kidding, I love you. Here, enjoy your... So what happened on the, so the lawyer had asked, Charla's lawyer had asked Charla to look at a screenshot that showed who was in the mod call, and they said, can you read out who's in the mod call, like who's visible? And she says, Steve, Veda, Nikki, and then she describes, like her stepdaughter, describes, like, one of the mods, Megan, I think she says, and then she says, and myself, using an alternate, like an account, using my cousin's picture. And so, it turns out, so they asked they had asked, the lawyer asked Charla to then describe, like, who was participating in the call. And she said, Steve is there, Kano is participating in the call, somebody's, like, husband or boyfriend, and like that other people who were not logged in were participating in the call, right? So then, good for you, Sue. I hope that works for you. You take care of you. And so Charla then says that they asked her, how did you get into this call? And Charla says, well, they announced publicly that they were doing this moderation call where they were going to talk about and show all the proof that they had for Charla committing all these crimes. And Charla said, well, I want to know what I'm being accused of. And Steve said, according to Charla, in her testimony, she said, Steve said that anybody who wants a link can join, they just have to message him to get the link. So she made an alternate account, like that day or the day before, sent Steve a message, and he sent her a link. So she was in that mod call the whole time and recorded it. Aaron and Veda were shook. Like, visibly, like, oh shit. They had no idea. They've been out here blabbing about, oh, this person did it, oh, that person did it. Charlotte was fucking in the call the whole goddamn time. The whole time. And she's just on the stand, yeah, I recorded it. Yeah, I got the link from Steve. And I was sitting there, I was just like, Charla was in the mod call because Steve gave her a link. That's what she testified to on the stand. You know, balls on her, I'll give her that much. Holy shit. It takes some balls to be like, I'm gonna go sit there quietly and listen to these people talk shit on me and pull in my, like, estranged family members and accuse me of crimes, and I'm gonna sit there and listen to the whole thing and record it without saying a damn word. That takes some balls. So, to be clear, Charla, on the stand, claims that she was in the mod call where Steve was sharing all the evidence and, like, her estranged stepdaughter was coming on to fucking talk shit about her, where they were like, here's all my evidence about blah blah blah. The one that Kathy P played, the one that I talked about with the old moderators from back in the day, that mod call. She claims that the way she got into the mod call was because she knew about it because they publicly announced it and said that anybody could join. They just need to, like, send a link or whatever, or, like, ask for a link. And she made a fresh account using her cousin's picture, sent a request to Steve to join, and he sent her a join link. No questions asked. So the entire time, they were talking shit and, like, sharpening their knives and conniving. Charla was sitting there listening and recording the entire time. At least that's what she tests to on the stand. That's what she said under oath. Their how long has it been that they've been accusing who the fuck ever they feel like they can accuse of being the one who recorded and released that call? But the thing is just because now we know that Charla got in, anybody could have been fucking in there. It could have been me. Anybody could have gotten in. Because dumbass just fucking let anybody fucking in, and it's like, you have no expectation of privacy if you're just sending the link out and announcing it publicly that anybody could join. And she fucking recorded it, and I'm like, damn. Just damn. And, like, by having other people who were not signed in on the call, you have waived any right to or any reasonable expectation of privacy. Like, that's out the window. And so if you wanted to even argue that Charla shouldn't be allowed to record it because Steve's in California, and I think California is a two-party state, he waived the right to privacy. He made it public. He gave the link to anybody. He gave her the link. If he gave her the link, he can't argue that she's not allowed to be in there. There's also, like, an additional rule about that there's exceptions for if people are accusing you of crime and you're recording it to defend yourself, apparently. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I did ask. Charla's lawyer mentioned it to me. So I didn't get into too much detail because I was very, very short on time. But Rita, there's no way you are more shook than Veda and Aaron. Like, Jesus Christ. Straight props. There are lots of people that would not have the balls or the wherewithal to listen to people shit talk them and plan out how they're planning on, like, harassing them and what crimes they're accusing them and how they're gonna do it. And, like, how they're trying to set her up. And she just fucking who was more shocked, Veda or Aaron, without having full view of their faces, I think Veda reacted more physically, but I think Aaron was more shocked. Oh, shooketh. Yeah, I literally wrote in all I wrote they are, and then I wrote shook in all capitals with a bunch of underlines. They are shook. And then I wrote a note that at 4:50 the judge is tired, lol. Aaron, from my understanding, was not in that mod call, but Aaron was supposed to be in that mod call. She was at work and showed up late, so I don't know if she ever made it in. I don't think she was in it. She wasn't at least in the clip that the amount that they played in court. So she was supposed to be there, but I don't think she ever actually made it. So from my memory, I think Kathy P actually listed who everybody was in the call, right? Let me just double check. So I don't get it wrong. Let me just go over to Kathy's channel over here real quick. She did the live stream. Which one's the live call? Here it is, mod call Golden Real Life Part 1 and Part 2. So let's just look at Part 1. Let me check her description here. Steve, Veda, Nikki, Megan, and others including family members. So Steve was there, Veda was there, Nikki was there, Megan was there. One of the mods was there, which I think was Reagan. Or I think it was either Reagan or Rachel or both. And then there was the estranged stepdaughter who was on the call, and then Charla was on the call. Was everyone whose PFP was, profile picture, was in that Charla's harassment campaign on the phone call? I can't confirm that Wolf was or was not in there. Was or was not actually in that call. And I know that Wolf was in the Charlotte's harassment campaign Twitter group. That was actually something that didn't get submitted into court, was that Charlotte's harassment campaign group. And I'm wondering if that's because we didn't get to Veda and Aaron's testimony. I'm wondering if there's like a couple of things that Charlotte's lawyer didn't bring up because she intends on that thing. And that she's going to bring them up during cross-examination. Yeah, I don't doubt a judge would hate this case. It's like that the judge, there was more than one time that the judge looked like she had a headache. It was just like, what the fuck? Yeah, I can't believe that. Okay, no, I'm not. When I'm saying I can't believe it, I absolutely believe Steve is arrogant and stupid enough to just give fucking links out, thinking that nobody's gonna fucking catch his dumbass. I absolutely believe that he's that stupid. I bet you money that I could make an alt account right now, and I could do it live, and I could show you guys the name of the account, and I could go into Steve's DMs and send Steve a message live and get into his DMs in half of a fucking second by just being like, oh wow, Steve, you're so smart, I can't believe all this is happening to you, blah, 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 blah. And just get into his DMs like that. I would be surprised if there aren't people in Steve's DMs right now who aren't somebody just blowing smoke up his ass to get information. Was Charlotte's side completely done with their evidence? No. Charlotte still needs to be redirected by her own lawyer after she gets cross-examined, and there were 3 more witnesses that didn't go yet. I also would not be surprised if, because they cut short, and Charlotte and her lawyer cut short their how much they wanted to submit for the sake of time, now that they have 2 more days, I will not be surprised to see Charla's lawyer request to bring Charla back on the stand to cover some stuff that they didn't get to cover for the sake of time. And I can see the judge allowing that. But I don't know for sure. We'll see. I think that with what she submitted, it's certainly not everything, but it's absolutely more than enough to bag this case, in my opinion. What does anyone gain from blowing smoke up Steve's butt? I don't know. A headache? I don't know. If they were, like, trying to get information from him or, like, trying to get, I don't know. Trying to get a link to a call, I guess. She said that she just asked for the link and he sent it to her, so she didn't give any details about, like, how she finagled like, if she had to say she was somebody else or anything like that. That's something that would come up in cross-examination, so maybe that's a question that Veda or Aaron could ask. Not that I think it's gonna help, but they could ask. Yeah. Yes, Puck. It's very silly. Oop. Laying a foundation requires certain things to happen. They might submit more evidence while questioning Veda and Aaron. Yes, I suspect that that'll happen as well. I definitely can see that being the case. Yeah, I think that's all I had. One thing I did want to talk about is I did do some fun things while I was traveling. So I enjoy traveling alone. I don't hate traveling with people, but I do enjoy traveling alone because it's so exciting. There's always people to talk to. There's always somebody who will talk to you. And there's always, like, cool things you can learn from just interacting with the people around you, right? And, like, I got on the plane on the way, sorry. Hold on, Puppy, you want to get out of here? No? Okay, go on. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for stopping by, Puck. I got on the plane, and on the way there, and I was sitting beside a psychologist who studies sleep, and he gave me a book that he had been working on with a bunch of his colleagues about narcolepsy. So I have this whole ass book about narcolepsy that's got, like, all kinds of, like, graphs and information and, like, studies and, like, stories about, like, vignettes about cases they had and people they were talking to, like medications for narcolepsy and side effects and, like, counseling or narcolepsy during pregnancy. There's all kinds of, like, really great information in this. And the guy enjoyed talking to me so much that he signed the inside of my book, signed the inside of the pamphlet. He chose, like, he just gave this to me. He was like, "Oh, you seem actually interested. Do you want to see what I was working on?" I was like, "Absolutely, I want to see what you're working on." And so he gave me this booklet, and in the inside of the booklet, he wrote the number to his clinic. So I can call the number to his clinic and, like, get more copies or, like, whatever the fuck, and, like, ask questions. And I guess he's probably actually not too far away from me because he's a Canadian. Well, he's not. He lives in Canada. And so I maybe I'll go and get to do, like, maybe I'll take a camera and, like, go into their study and do some interviews and see what's going on with that. And then I also got, on the way back, I got cards given to me by people that I was sitting with on the way back to Canada of 2 bigwig real estate people that have, like, a whole real estate business out in Halifax. So I got to meet them, and they gave me their cards and their email, and I've been now back in email contact with them back and forth. So I just got to meet some interesting people and just got to, like, talk about all kinds of stuff, and we had, like, some really great conversations just during the flight. So, yeah, I'm always about, like, just hearing people out in their stories. Like, I can't understand anybody who doesn't like traveling because they don't talk to anybody. It's like, but there's people everywhere. Go talk to people. Go meet somebody. Like, traveling is probably one of the more exciting things that I don't get to do very often that I very much enjoy. And again, it doesn't really matter if I'm traveling with people or not with people, but I absolutely, like, traveling by myself, I don't get caught up in conversations with just me and the people I'm traveling with. I like to talk to people. I like the look on the because people were asking me, "Oh, what are you traveling for?" Because that's normal conversation, and I would tell them what I was going. I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to court," and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to court. I'm going for a witness." And they're like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah. What? Well, what's the court about?" YouTubers are fighting and are bothering some random person. And they're like, what the fuck? My favorite because I got a couple of those what the fuck faces. And my favorite one was the customs guy when I was leaving Toronto to go to get my flight in Denver to then go from Denver to Wichita. And when I was so in Toronto they did the custom, oh, why are you going? When are you coming back? That shit. And I don't know what the part's called. Whatever. They ask you questions. And I said why I was going, and he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, I'm going as a witness. There's YouTubers on the internet that are getting restraining orders against them because they've been talking about somebody who's not a YouTuber. And he was just like, he's looking at my passport, and he was like, what? He's like shaking his head, and he looks so confused and amused by the situation. I think that was my favorite reaction that I got, because it was such a brief interaction, because he just got to ask like one or two questions, and then I had to be on my way because there's a line. And so like, oh my god, you could do a stream or interview with a doctor about narcolepsy. I would absolutely love that. So I have his number. I have the number to his clinic. So I absolutely want to set up a time to like go and either stream or do an interview with him or any of the other people on this book and talk to them about like their facility and what they do and like tips for when maybe you should get tested for narcolepsy. Like one of the stories in this book, because I was reading the book, which is one of the reasons why he gave me his number, because I was like, he gave me this book to breeze through, because he's like, do you want to check out what I was working on? And I sat and read parts of it, and I was reading the parts he's like, most people skip that. I'm like, why? This is like whether or not there's genetics that lead to narcolepsy, and also that there are genetics that potentially prevent narcolepsy. I'm like, that's fascinating. And so anyway, he was like, I would love to. He talked, one of the vignettes in here talked about how there was a client who had asked multiple times to be tested for narcolepsy, and they wouldn't do it until finally they did, and they were like, yeah, it turns out person had narcolepsy. And so interesting. So interesting. And so like, this is the kind of stuff you get when you just go and interact in the world around you, right? Like, go travel and talk to people while you're traveling. You don't need to be shy. If people don't want to talk to you, they won't talk to you, right? One of the things I said to the real estate people, it was like, they were talking about how young people and older people don't tend to interact very easily with each other. And I said, it's the way I travel and the way I present myself is very intentional. I have headphones, but they're not on my head. They are not on my head until like the plane has taken off or people around me have indicated that nobody's open to a conversation. And then I put my headphones on and mind my own business. But I keep them off on purpose so that if people want to say hi to me or be like, oh, hey, yeah, like small talk. Like this guy who gave me this book said I wasn't allowed to get into my seat because I was pulling a book out of my bag so I could slide in, as I was sitting in the middle and he was sitting on the outside. And he said, you have to pass the book test. Show me what you're reading. And I happen to have the Eloquence book, that is the book about rhetoric that Mika had recommended, that was on my Amazon wish list, that one of you guys sent to me. And he was like, oh wow, this is what you're reading? That's really interesting. I think I've read that book. And then he decided he wanted to read it again, and he made a note about it. And so like, you never know, right? You never know who you're going to run into, what you're going to run into, what you can learn, what you can find out, and like who you're going to end up talking to. Like the real estate people were like an amazing like 3-hour conversation, because we just sat and talked the whole trip, the whole flight. It was great. It was such a good time. I had so much fun. And then, of course, like Charlotte and her family were wonderful, and I got to like spit back and forth stories. I got to speak to the lawyer and the psychiatrist. Like, I got to speak to all the other witnesses, and so because I got to talk to all of them, I got to find out about X, Y, and Z things and other shit. It was such like a it was such an educational trip. It was such an educational trip. It was awesome. It almost makes me want to do more layover flights because then you're gonna see more people. It was so cool. It was so cool. I really hope that I do get to travel more in the future. I have a project that I'm working on that Mani is working on with me, and that might enable us to do a lot of things. So I want to give you guys more details on that once it's a little bit more solidified. But until then, get fucked. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You do the same thing on buses and trains. Sometimes on buses, I'll be like, no, don't talk to me. But most of the time, I keep it. I've never been on a train though. Sometimes on buses. I don't take the bus very often. I don't really like it. But a lot of the times, I like having my headphones open. I like to listen to the world around me. One of my friends ended up marrying the guy next to the seat. The guy in the next seat that she met on the plane. That's so cool. Oh my god, that's so awesome. I hate it when people are 100% on phone with headphones. Yeah, there were a couple people that were like that on my flights, on like my little hopover flights, where it was like, yeah, I'm not gonna bother people that clearly don't want to be bothered. But if you start a conversation with me, oh, we're in this now. You've been so many places and you love traveling. I wish I got to travel a little bit more. I mean, COVID put a damper on that, but also, you know. But I want you guys to know that I absolutely 100% took advantage of the opportunity that you guys were able to give me by helping out with that GoFundMe. So I really, really greatly appreciate that. So thank you all so much for helping out with this. I am going to cut the GoFundMe off, so that way there will be some left because I didn't get the hotel. There will be some left in case I need to travel back. So I don't have to ask you guys to help out again. I've once taken an elderly lady with me when we were headed to the same direction on the train, but the normal route was diverted and she was quite clueless and lost. Yeah, so you took her along with you. Yeah, I've done that before where I've like kind of latched onto a traveler where I'm like, help me, traveler. I don't know where I'm going. I had some really kind, one time a flight got canceled and I had a really kind lady who I talked to while we were just waiting for the plane help me get to a hotel. So that was really nice of them. Help me get to and from. They were lovely. Are you going back for Steve's hearing? I don't know yet. Steve's hearing has some things about it that need to be sorted out, and once those things are sorted out, I'll have a better idea. So any of the leftover money from traveling, I am saving for more travel, potentially. So we'll see. But I did try to save as much money as possible in case I do get called back. And also I didn't want to like be frivolous since you guys were kind enough to help me get there. I didn't want you guys to feel like I was, you know, spending $70 on Taco Bell when I didn't need to. Yeah, it's good to be independent and comfortable. I kind of got while I was traveling, I got a really good feel for the airports and about where I was going and how to navigate it. And the one time I did ask on my way back from Denver, I was lost when I got dropped off at the Toronto airport because I was dropped off at the wrong gate. And I was like, where the fuck am I? So that took me a hot minute to figure out. But between Denver and Toronto, like going from Denver to Toronto, when I did my layover, when I arrived in Denver, I had to run and I lost sight of the signs. So I just ran over and asked somebody, I was like, hey, I'm looking for A. Is it that direction? And they were like, yeah, just that direction and then take a right. And I was like, okay, perfect. Like one of the people who worked there, I'm like, okay, perfect, thanks. I just lost sight of I couldn't find A on the signs anymore, but the signage is pretty clear once you understand it. When is Steve's hearing? I believe it's next month, or I guess this month now. I'm pretty sure it's coming up in a couple of weeks. Pretty sure. I don't think it's April. It might be April. I think it's May. Yeah, no, it's May. It's coming up in about 2 weeks, I think. I may or may not end up with be able to get my dirty little goblin hands on what goes on with that. I'll keep you guys as updated as I possibly can. Yeah, Charlotte bought me pizza. Aaron said you were eating pizza. Yes, one of the first things that Charlotte did was her and her husband, after I got off the plane, because I was freaking hungry, after like hours of flight, like 12 hours of travel, I think by that point, because it was an hour to get to the airport, and then I had like a 2 hour, 3 hour layover. Anyway, the first thing I did when we landed was they picked me up and we stopped off at like a pizza place that had like a bar in it, and I ordered beer and we ate pizza. So, and Charlotte pays for pizza, so evidence that Charlotte probably didn't send an unpaid for pizza to anybody's house, because she probably would have paid for it. What are MREs? When my dad passed, I had to fly home abruptly, and a nice mother traveling on the same flight basically temporarily adopted me, and I made sure I got what I got when I needed, so you could take a nap. Oh, that's so sweet. Like, people are so wary of strangers, and like, there's a lot of security in a there's a lot of security in a airport. So, hi, hello, mother. Military ready meals. Oh, okay. MR, yeah, that's funny. When are you doing your 5 for 5? Sometime next week. Yes, likely sometime next week. I have one or two things that I need to hammer down. Once that's hammered down, I will start the 5 for 5 commissions. Meals ready to eat. Gross. Sounds terrible. I don't know if these notes are ever going to be actually relevant, but I got them in case they are. If I go to another trial, I'm going to bring the same notebook, and then I'm just going to put like a little sticky note at the last spot, and then keep filling it in. How was the Kansas pizza? Good. It was good. The pizza was good. The food in Kansas was good. The beer was actually surprisingly good. We went to something called a beer garden, and it was very similar to the breweries, like the little local breweries that we have here. And I got a dark. I got a stout, and it was quite good. But we didn't drink too much that night, because we were both very tired, and I had traveled a lot, so we didn't stay out drinking that night. I was hungover after court. I drank. One time the flight canceled and we were shipped off on a bus, and there was a lady who had hired a vehicle back to her home, and she gave me a ride free of charge. She has a clothes shop in the town market. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, the beer garden was very good. I was worried that like the only beer or like that was going to be available was going to be like watered down schlock. It was not. The beer while I was there was actually quite good. I didn't it was all quite good. And I don't know if that's because of like where I was in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, or if it's just if Kansas just has good beer. But the local brewery was very good. Chesh's small body can't take too much booze. Sure. Sure. We'll stick with that. You got no cold alcohol? Yeah, I'm all out now too. Such a shame. There are a lot of IPAs in the Midwest. This is stout season. Oh, I didn't realize it was stout season. Oh, I made a good choice then. I picked the right thing. Oh, I'm going to have to keep that in mind if I end up going back, because if I end up going back, I'm going to go try more beer. It's a different season. Seasonal beers. I love seasonal beers. Middle of nowhere places usually need good places to drink. Good point. Oh yeah, I'm not too worried about being here for too long. I just want to make sure like I get all the questions. I don't think there's too many more questions about court itself. And like I said, I've kept most of the details to myself, or like the direct details, excuse me, to myself because like I am probably going to be in touch with Charlotte's lawyer next week sometime, though. I have one or two things that I want to just quick email back and forth with her about regarding some of the accusations and things made about me leading up to the case, because I don't know if that I want to know if that would affect the contempt hearing that is now going to be in place. So yeah, there's going to be 2 more court dates in May. Oh, sorry, Steve's is in March. Did I say May? Steve's is in March. Duh. Isn't it? I think Steve's is in March. Yeah. Why am I stupid? Why am I dumb? Give me a second. March. March? Yes. Okay. I think I said May. It's March. I'm sorry, I got those confused. 2 court dates in May, 1 court date in March, and Ronell's court date is a question mark. That's what I know about what's up and coming. But I don't know if the contempt hearings for Veda and Sharla that they were served with when they left court this time are also going to take place on those 2 days. So there might be another set of court dates that are scheduled for the contempt. I suspect that they will likely try to do them all in those 2 days. Did I say April? March. I am so sorry. I think I just got my March and my May backwards. I apologize. March. Was there a tube top in the courtroom? I did not see a tube top in the courtroom. I'm pretty sure she was wearing spaghetti traps. But I did not make a note of that, so I did note that they were a little bit what I would consider underdressed. But what do I know? No, Aaron and Veda were served with contempt papers, so there will have to be a hearing for Aaron and Veda to show how they are not in contempt. So that's basically everything that happened from September onward. About whether or not they've broken the protective order that a TRO places on somebody. And so that's going to have to be a hearing. And I would suspect that the court will likely try to do that hearing to show whether or not, because they have to show how they're not in contempt. I just like, well, that's what Steve's is going to be, right? Steve was served with contempt, so his in March is likely going to cover that. And so they're likely going to try to cover those hearings on the 2 additional court dates. And if they don't, they're going to have to schedule a whole nother set of court hearings for them to show how they're not in contempt. And as far as I understand it, they have to show up in person to these next 2 court dates. Will they have to show up in person for the contempt hearings? Probably. Like if it maintains, right? Like just even for the sake of consistency, I would imagine they would need to be there. But I guess it's possible that they might not. Time is made up. Time doesn't exist. Time's not real. Space. What is it? Space. Time is meaningless and space is bendable. Who cares? Yeah, flip-flops. Yeah, Charla was granted a TRO against both Aaron and Veda. So the hearing that we were at was to establish whether or not an RO, or like a protective order from harassment and stalking, would be issued upon them. But between point A and point B, that temporary restraining order is a protective order that stays in place up until a decision is made by the court. And as of right now, the court has not made a decision, so that temporary restraining order and those protective orders are still in place. And they have been in place since, I think August 28th, give or take, depending on who you're talking about. Yeah, late August, early September, yeah. Seems they didn't take the service of contempt charges seriously. They try to seem so unconcerned. I got to see them in court, and I got to see exactly how concerned or not they came across. And, like I said, from my assessment of speaking with them both directly at this point, from being on the stand and dealing with their questioning, Veda is smarter than Aaron is. Veda's got a better idea of what's going on. Stop gaslighting the fabric of space-time. No. I watched that live and she was in the passenger seat. Oh, Veda. Veda in her live stream said that she was in the passenger seat, and she literally told people she wasn't driving. Well, when she showed up at court, there was nobody with her. So, the only person who was with her was Aaron, so if she was driving with somebody, they didn't show up to court with her. Also, Veda sucks at parking. She's the one who did the parking job. They literally parked beside Charla's car, and I couldn't get in because they parked too close. So, if she was driving with someone, can you elaborate on what I mean by smarter? Veda has a better idea of what's going on than Aaron does. And Veda actually put in effort. Veda was trying. She was struggling, but she was trying. That's what I mean. I talked about it a little bit earlier if you want to go back. It's all fun and games behind a YouTube profile. Nah. You know. Actions have consequences, who would have thunk? Yeah, I don't know. Crazy. But I'm glad to be back. I hope my Q&A here has been able to help you kind of get an idea of what's going on. I hope this will be satisfactory for the GoFundMe people, the people who are willing to donate. I hope I have fulfilled your every desire that could have been done. I wouldn't be surprised if the transcripts end up being public. And if that ends up happening, I'll be more than happy to speak on it more then. I don't know if it will be supposed to be made public, but I wouldn't be surprised to see that get leaked in some capacity. And we can talk about it more then. Got dropped off at court. Me? I went with one of Charlotte's daughters in a car. And the court was actually, pretty close. Small town. Veda's TRO from North Carolina, yeah, that was tossed. That was tossed out, on its face. Which is kind of funny. Alright. Oh, thank you so much. I had it down earlier. It's getting long. I'm gonna put a braid in it. I'm waiting for my little stray ones here to... I didn't like where the line was cut, so I've been growing out these little tiny bits. So it'll be nice when that grows out, and maybe I can make it a little braid down the back. I think that'd be kind of cool. I know Veda has a panic disorder, but I wonder how it affected her during court. I don't know about what disorders people may or may not have, so I try not to speak too much on stuff like that. She did mention that she was struggling due to some issues that she listed, but I don't think I wrote those down because I didn't want to invade her personal stuff. I can tell you that she was very fidgety and very fidgety, and she definitely struggled in trying to word her questions a few times. So she was like some of those things were like she was struggling to verbalize and clearly state her questions sometimes. So she was struggling, but I mean she's in a very awkward, difficult position that she's found herself in. So I don't I'm not gonna harp on her for that one. That makes sense to me. Some of her questions to me were kind of amusing. Do I do my hair or do I let my sister do it? I have let my sister do my hair in the past. Right now, I've been doing my hair for the past few months. I got it when I initially got it all done on the side and chopped short. I got it done professionally by like a hairdresser down the road, like a like a first choice hair cutter type mall haircut. Like I didn't go to like go spend $100. No, I went and spent like $30 and got it trimmed. And then I've been maintaining it and doing it ever since. So like the bangs I've been doing, this shaving I've been doing. That's just me. Some of the questions I was asked was very interesting, but I'm tentative to say the things that I was asked specifically because like I don't want to. I'm not here to try to cause additional. I'm not here to infight or outfight. I'm not here to cause additional like pressure on each other. I'm just here to kind of answer some questions that I can and elaborate on some things that maybe needed elaborating on and give my a little bit of a take of my experience. But also because I didn't get to write down the questions that were asked to me, so I don't want to misrepresent something that the questions that I was asked by not getting the wording exact. Move to Florida so Christy can do your hair. I would love to have Christy do my hair, but I would hate to live in Florida. Do you 100% believe Charla on all accusations? Which accusations? Charla hasn't really been making any accusations about anybody. Her only accusation is that she's been harassed. And I would agree with that. Sorry, let me just double check. I missed a question. Thank you so much for the Q&A. Yeah, no. Thanks for asking questions. I hope I was able to help. The situation would be intimidating, especially if you never had to serve your own lawyer. She put herself in the situation. Yeah, yes, she absolutely put herself in the situation, but I'm not gonna pick on her for being nervous. You know what I mean? I think being nervous is very fair and reasonable, so I'm not gonna I think that would be petty. If I was like, oh, person spoke too fast, what an idiot. Like that'd be shitty to me. I wouldn't do that. Sorry if that was loud. Also, was there a chance to ask the questions you wanted to ask? I didn't get to ask questions on the stand. I was there to answer questions, so asking questions was not something that I was in a position to do. I think the only question I really asked was, can you repeat the question? Or if that wasn't what you meant, please feel free to ask again. I'm more than happy. Given the time of year and weather, why the shaved head? Well, I've had it shaved for a while now, so I'm pretty sure it was warmer when I shaved it, but I like it, so I'm keeping it. It's also long enough now on the sides that if I really want to, I can put my hair down on this side. It's got gel in it, so it's gonna look funny now, but I can kind of cover it up if I really want to. Not that I want to. But the judge didn't say gag order. Nope, the judge never said anything about a gag order. That didn't come up. There was questions. The Charla's lawyer requested to be clear that the TRO and protective orders were still in place and were ongoing, and then Aaron, I believe it was Aaron, had asked the judge to explain the TRO, and the judge read out the TRO, and when Aaron asked if, what that meant, The judge said, I can't give you legal advice. You need to get a lawyer if you don't understand the order. And she also said, talking about it could be detrimental to your case. So yeah, there was no, like, the judge said, like, the most obvious shit, I guess, would be, like, the most non-legal legal advice. Get a fucking lawyer if you don't understand what you're doing. People are allowed to have their hair the way they want. I mean, as long as your hair isn't, like, harming anybody, then yes, wear your hair however you want. Who cares? Ugh. Well, thank you. Get a fucking lawyer. Yeah, get a fucking lawyer. The hair! The hair! That was one thing that actually came up in court too. I can't remember the exact wording of the question, but I was like, I don't know. People seem to have an issue with my hair though. Like, I don't get it. Some people don't have funds for lawyers. I'm sure they would get one if they could. Okay, so here's the thing with lawyers and this entire situation. And if there's anything that I've learned about this is the court needs to be updated to be able to streamline this type of process, because the amount of time and cost between energy and funds and emotional distress and physical distress and how it affects your day, like just prevents you from living your day-to-day life, is way too damn high. Veda and Aaron could go to a consultation. They could go to a website and say, what is a protective order? Or can you explain what I am and am not allowed to do under a protective order in this scenario? And they would likely be able to get that advice for free or for a nominal price. They wouldn't have to spend 10 grand to have a lawyer explain to them what a TRO would mean in their situation. So, like, they should at least do that much. Now, whether or not they can afford getting lawyers for the case, maybe you should have just stopped then. Maybe just don't. Maybe your option was just not getting yourself into this scenario in the first place. With the shit that I saw presented, there is no excuse for their behavior. None. The government needs to hire way more public defenders so they actually have time to focus on each case. It would save a lot of time. Well, you don't get a public defender for this. There is no, the court doesn't need to give you a defense lawyer when it's a civil case. So there is no defense lawyer in this scenario that would be provided to them because it is a civil matter, not a criminal matter. If it goes to criminal charges later, because of breaking protective orders or whatever, however that goes, could it escalate to criminal charges? Maybe. If it escalates to criminal charges, do I think it will? I don't fucking know. If criminal charges come forward, then they could be provided, they could be requested to be provided something by the state. But during a civil matter, you're on your own. Unfortunately. And, it sucks that for a lot of court, it's pay to win, but the system's fucked. I don't know what to tell you. They are always free to contact me, though I would stress that I am not a citizen of the United States, nor am I licensed in the United States. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to, act as a lawyer. I mean, some of this stuff is pretty cut and dry. If you're going to court, or you're being taken to court over your YouTube content, and that's the content that's in question about whether or not it's harassing, even if you believe it's not harassing, because that's the thing in question, it's probably good not to do more of it. Until it's until a decision is made at the very least. And that seems like the most straightforward thing. Doesn't it? Like, doesn't that seem to follow pretty 1 to 2? 1 plus 1 equals window? There seems to be a strategy to push this out as far as they could. It's just unbelievable. All the clips I have, 12. Yeah, there seemed to be, it seemed to be clear to me that there was an intention to try and run Charlotte out of money, or to say she can't serve us all. Like, she can't take us all to court. And it's like, okay, but fall on your sword, I guess. Most countries have legal aid, but you do need to qualify for their services. Yeah, there's also that as well. You could apply for something like that. Those are options. There are online forums. You could do a monochrome of research. Like, a lot of the thing is like, understanding the TRO is not complicated. Like, it's not a complicated thing. And you would think you would err on the side of caution. You'd be like, okay, you know what, I'm not sure what I am and am not allowed to do, so I'm just not going to. Instead of, well, I don't know, so I can do whatever I want. Like, you would think, what the fuck do I know? Oops, sorry, I missed a question there. Did Kyle give Steve a ride to court to make sure he would not be a no-show? Steve did not appear as a witness for either Veda nor Aaron, and from my understanding, Veda and Aaron did not even list each other as witnesses, so they had no witnesses. They had nothing. They didn't have an expert witness. They didn't have nothing. Big stinking hunk of nothing. Any civil case can become criminal. Yes, if you're found in contempt. True. Legal aid has a waiting list. Yeah, that's a whole issue. That lady hollers harassment if you say her name. No, she doesn't. What's going on with certain would right now would qualify as harassment. If you're talking shit about a person and it's false and they ask you to stop by that person but don't, that's harassment. Yeah, by definition, yes. I don't even think I don't think the things have to be false. It's that if you're harassing or otherwise attempting to frustrate, irritate, or vex an individual against their wishes, when you're giving them, if you're giving someone attention and that person asks you to stop giving that attention is unwanted, and you continue to put attention on them, that's harassment. Yeah, hopefully she gets lawyer fees in her settlements. Yeah, I would like to see that. Collusion? I feel like you're going to have a hard time looking at this and not seeing collusion. I'm just making sure I got it. I thought I saw one more question. Could they ask a lawyer to do pro bono or not in this kind of case? They could ask a lawyer to do pro bono. Would a lawyer take it? Not likely. They don't really have much of a case, and I think their best bet would be to try and settle. And if I were Charla, I would accept nothing less than the removal of all content that alludes to or mentions her. I would require an apology video with a list of specific accusations that were made, to say that these things are not true. And then I would be like, and an amount equal to lawyer fees. And the reason I would say it's a good idea for Aaron and Veda to take that deal is because they're only going to incur more lawyers' fees if those fees are awarded, and if there are fines, and if there's criminal contempt charges, and if there's damages that come through. The longer this goes, the more it's going to cost them, especially if they lose, and it seems like they are very much going to lose. So if it were me, and I'm not a lawyer, I would tell them to settle and take whatever Charla's willing to give you. and then say thank you, ma'am. And then shut the fuck up. I wonder if they will get witnesses by May. They can't. They can't bring in witnesses. The witness list already had to be presented. This is an extension of what's being presented. The deadline for putting in witnesses is already over. They can't bring anybody new in. They could try to argue to try to bring somebody in, but they would have to make an argument in court as to why they should be allowed to. So they can't just list a new witness. How's Puck's support to you throughout this entire ordeal? Puck's great. Puck is best boy. Comments justifying it when people have told her this. Yes. Yeah. I think you're right. Lawyers often take pro bono cases. Yeah, they could certainly try. So the thing is it's also considered. There are different types of harassment in different ways, but if you want the definition is open-ended, and you also have to be not encouraging it. So for example, if Nikki, Supernatural Crimes with Nikki, was this needs to stop, this is too much, I don't want to talk about this anymore, and then she made accusations, that is not her requesting people stop talking about her. That is her attacking somebody. Right? So if she decides, this is a hypothetical, this is not a literal thing. If she says, I don't want to talk about this needs to stop, please stop talking about me, but her content is bullshitting on the people she's asking to stop, then she's perpetuating it, and that's not how it works. Technically, they could bring me in. Yeah, Aaron and Veda could call me back to the stand, theoretically. It is possible. They could certainly try. It's also, it's different when you're a content creator and a content creator. It's different if you're a public figure, right? As soon as you put yourself into public, you put yourself at a different level of scrutiny and a different level of, what would constitute harassment against you. Right? But if you're talking private person to private person, or a domestic situation, or a content creator talking about a private person, the definition ends up being far more open. I wrote down what the professional said. Let me see if I can read it for you. Harassment isn't about volume and hours of content. It's that the target doesn't want the attention and asks for it to stop, and they don't stop. That's what makes it harassment. It's actually very simple and very easy when it comes to harassment. That's one of the reasons why you need to be careful. If you're a content creator talking about a content creator, then you're a public person talking about a public statement, right? But if you're going around lying, DMing, making additional accounts, giving a person attention that they're please stop, do not do this anymore, and especially if they are not engaging, it gets pretty cut and dry pretty fast. If I could ask a question in the courtroom, I'd ask, is cereal a soup when milk is added? Ooh, good luck. I don't know what you would have to be a professional in. Maybe a culinary professional? This went to an extreme. Yes, I agree with that. Scritches for Puck. Puck was here earlier. He is not here right now. He took off. He got a piece of cookie and then ran away. Yeah, Puck is still limping a little bit, but he's doing he's doing much better. Oh, do they have to live in the state to get legal aid? That's interesting. I didn't know that. So Charla was right in claiming her gem was for professional witnesses. Oh, her GoFundMe. Yeah, Charla had an expert witness that came. None, I didn't see any of her the GoFundMe that she had came to my direction. She had an expert witness that showed up. I was not the expert witness. I don't know where anybody got that idea from, but that was not for me. So there was no, I was not the expert witness. I don't even know what I would have been the expert witness on. That doesn't really make any sense. I was mostly there to provide context of what I had seen and what I would expect and what you would expect to see in this type of scenario. They probably felt emboldened in their harassment in a group, but not so bold as in front of the judge. Yeah, that's a way to put it. Yeah, it's when you're surrounded by people that agree with you, it's a lot easier to escalate or to pontificate from an air of authority or from a position of power when you are in the position of power. But suddenly these two creators were no longer in the position of power. They had nobody with them. Charla had a whole, like, almost her entire row filled with professionals and witnesses, and professional witnesses, like expert witnesses, and a judge who is the person in power. So the playing field of who had power in that scenario was just completely flipped on its head, right? And that's part of what constitutes, like, trying to, like, control somebody in their online presence, in their online space, and whether or not they're allowed to exist on platforms like Facebook or Instagram or whatever. If that makes sense. No courtroom doodles. I'm sorry. I was so busy taking notes that I was not able to draw anything, and I was also sitting at a really bad angle to be able to get, like, any kind of good. Unfortunately, sadly. When the dildo of consequences is right in front of you, you are less inclined to take it. Yeah, that's a good point. Expert shenanigans. Yes, I am an expert goblin, and I am an expert of dumpster fires and shenaniganry. Yes. I'm going to stop it there. Feel free to ask more questions. I will do a follow-up if necessary, if more stuff comes around. I'll be keeping an eye out and watching, and I'll provide you guys whatever information I can. I do have more information in my back pocket that I don't think is appropriate to share right now, and perhaps we'll be able to share in the future, and I will be back. We'll be back to our regular scheduled programming next week? This week coming up? I don't know. I got out of the courtroom, and I'm like, I'm retiring. I'm getting the fuck off of YouTube. What the fuck is this shit? Get me out. I don't want to play this anymore. This is fucking ridiculous. I'm retiring. I'm going home, never to be seen or heard from again. But we'll be back to our regular scheduled programming and art and stuff. Again, if you have questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section down below. I might not answer them in the comment section, but I will make sure to take note of them. If we need to do a follow-up, we'll do a follow-up. So if you ask a question and you don't hear from me right away, it's likely that I have grabbed it and, like, just put it in a little shelf over. I should get some shelves, actually. I should get, like, a little thing. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I hope I was able to answer your questions. I hope you were satisfied. Thank you so much if you had donated and helped out. Thank you so much for your questions. Whether you like me, whether you don't like me, the questions are welcome here regardless. And I'm going to get out of here. Thank you so much. And have a good day, everyone. I hope you all have a good weekend. And I will see you soon. Bye-bye.